This episode gave me a weird feeling about the mule. Because you see, behind Harry, we have the amazing mystic mathematician in the cave and Gaal. Behind the Empire, we have Demerzel. It seems that the Foundation is kind of representing this idea that behind every great man is a great woman. Who's behind the mule? I did not expect to fall in love with another mystical library from a fictional show, and yet here we are, with me falling in love with yet another mystical library from a fantasy show. Fictional fantasy show. We see baby boy Brother Don going to research psychohistory and eventually meeting Gaal, the projection of Gaal, and this is how they establish their connection that comes back 3 years later when the mule has become something to worry about. And he fails. Like, Gaal gives him a mission. You have to set up a meeting with the council. That's all you have to do about the mule. Surely she had some plan to deal with that meeting, but he didn't even manage to do that. He didn't manage to set up the goddamn meeting because Brother Day refused. The Middle Empire, whatever the hell they call it, refused. So the only thing he got was the goddamn surveillance thingies on the planet. I like the idea that Brother Don's success is not entirely because of Gaal, because it seems like they met 3 years ago and then now again. So it doesn't really look like Gaal has been helping him a lot. Maybe she has. It doesn't look like it. But Demerzel not being able to read the radiant like Gaal can, because she's reading it to help the Empire only. And they talk about this, about the idea that she isn't getting the full picture and she can't properly analyze the information that she has because she has a filter on, that she only is analyzing the information and filtering it through this lens of helping Empire to survive. And the fact is that it can't. It can survive. Harry predicted it so many years ago, like Empire will fall. And like Demerzel won't be able to properly study that information until we don't know. That was the whole discussion in the previous episode. She didn't know what was going to happen to her if Empire fell. But it's pretty clear that it's going to fall and that Gaal is establishing Brother Don as like the only surviving member or whatever. They have to have some sort of deal. So I'm really curious as to, this is one of my biggest curiosities. What's going to happen to Demerzel when Empire falls, because it's going to fall. And she is a machine. She's incredibly smart. She would be a great contributor to reading all of this information and predicting the future. But she maybe won't be able to do anything until Empire falls because she has that goddamn filter. So I'm really curious to see if when Empire falls and maybe just Brother Dawn survives, if she can read the Radiant in a different way, that would be really cool. I will come back to Demerzel in a little bit, but I want to talk about Callion. It's such a cool planet. I'm astonished. I'm astonished at the fact that they just some random pirate warlord took over the country and the country kind of just went on business as usual, throwing parties, going to clubs. The fact that he was at the club, so available to everyone, the fact that they couldn't figure out that it was not at random, that he was there, that for sure he would be protected by something. I can't believe I was right about the goddamn captain with a pendant. Because if you remember, I said this in the first episode, that it was interesting that the mule knew about the second foundation when he was holding Gaal by the freaking throat. He knew about the second foundation, but he didn't know where it was because he can read minds. And this is what he does in this episode. The captain with the pendant comes near him because Idiot thought he was going to do something. I can't believe I was wrong about him. I thought he was so smart. Anyway, he comes close to the mule and the mule controls his, he has some field that stops him. I think it's just mind control telling him he can't move. And he tells him, first of all, you're like me. And then he asks, who is Gaal? And this is what I was saying, like baby boy was going to like unintentionally give the mule information about Gaal and about the second foundation. And this is how he knows it exists and not where it is. But it didn't seem like he gave him any information about the second foundation, only Gaal. So I was wondering, does he not know about the second foundation? Like, does he not know? Because if he also has like the mentalist powers, if he also has the mind powers, isn't it reasonable that he is part of the second foundation, that he is part of the white people in the planet whose name I can't remember? And this is how he knows about Gaal. I mean, I'm sure he should know about Gaal being from the foundation, but should he? Because that was the single piece of information that the mule fished out of his mind, which to me kind of signals that he was thinking about Gaal, that he was maybe procuring this information for Gaal, that maybe the pendant that he says that when the woman was trying to make out with him and he stopped him, maybe the pendant means that he is committed to someone in the second foundation. Maybe he's committed to the second foundation and doesn't allow himself to distract himself with nothing. But I found it interesting that he knew about Gaal and had her in his thoughts, but didn't know about the second foundation or wasn't thinking about the second foundation. I mean, we can't control what we think. Like, if he was thinking about Gaal and he knew about the second foundation, he would have been thinking about that, but he wasn't. And the mule only seemed to find out the information about Gaal. So this is what I'm wondering. If he doesn't know about the second foundation, but knows about Gaal, or like is interested in Gaal enough to have her in his thoughts while he's looking at the mule, could he be one of the people like Brother Don? Could he be one of the people that Gaal got in contact with and who he has met before? Could Gaal have had a meeting with Captain Pendant the same way she had a meeting with Brother Don, and this is how he knows her name, but doesn't know anything about the second foundation? He thought of her because she was the first person who told him about the mule. Because I was thinking, oh, I can tell these smart people from the others because the smart people are thinking of the mule as an actual threat and the others are not. But maybe it wasn't the smart people who were thinking about the mule as a threat. It were the people that Gaal had talked to before and told them that the mule is coming and that he was a threat. So this is my current theory about this guy. He has met with Gaal before. He has had like the holograph meetings the same way that Brother Don had, and he was expecting the mule. And when the mule appeared, he knew immediately that the mule was going to be a threat because Gaal had told him so years prior. I think he could still be part of the second foundation and have like enough training not to divulge that information, because they have to be training how to control their own minds, right? They have to be at least attempting to conceal information to other people who can read minds and control minds and whatever. So he could still be part of the second foundation, but have training to control his thoughts in a way that wouldn't divulge the existence or location of the second foundation. I mean, when the mule is holding Gaal and asking where is the second foundation, if he could read her thoughts, he wouldn't have to ask because he would know from reading her thoughts. So there must be some form of mechanism or ability that these people can develop to prohibit, to not allow other people to read their thoughts. So maybe this is what this guy has. So he lets slip the name, Gaal's name, but not the existence of the second foundation or the location of the second foundation. Either way, I'm so happy that I was a little bit right about this, about the fact that the mule would find out about this kind of information through reading someone's mind, but not have the complete picture. Really cool. Now, where he's going is going to tell us a lot about what he's actually doing and what his mission is. I think it's pretty solid that it could be part of the second foundation, but minimum, he has to have talked with Gaal before. So in the next episode, he will probably return to the planet where the foundation is, New Terminus, right? I never remember these names, I'm so sorry. But he will probably return to the planet and have a holographic meeting with Gaal or something like that. I don't think he would go to if he knows the location of the second foundation, I don't think he would go there. It would be too risky. He probably is going to the foundation, to the planet where foundation is, and talk to Gaal from there. Now about the honeymoon couple. Listen, I like them. I like them a lot. I like the fact that they rescued the abused musician, but I'm going to be honest. I can't watch scenes like that anymore. First of all, I take back what I said about the mule in my previous review. I said that he wasn't as menacing as I was expecting. He is menacing. He's too menacing. He's too menacing. But I can't watch stuff like this anymore, you guys. So I didn't actually watch the scene when he was... And as soon as the girl picked that little potato peeler, I knew it was coming. I knew, like, do you remember that movie, that spy movie with Jennifer Lawrence with the, yeah, ugh, I couldn't watch it. I did this, and I did not watch it. So I have no idea what he said. Please tell me in the comments if it was something important. I don't know. But they escaped and they brought the musician who could potentially have information about the mule. I was surprised because in a way I was thinking maybe this is part of the mule's plan. Maybe this is part of whatever he's orchestrating to take over the galaxy, like giving them a person that apparently has a lot of information and then in the end will become a spy for him or something. But when we cut back to the mule and his like little minions are informing him that they escaped, he seems a little upset, but not upset in the way, like upset in a way that he wasn't planning for them to escape. Like this wasn't part of his plan. And then it comes the very first mention that I've noticed, at least, of the mule being like, oh, it's what's gonna happen is gonna happen. You know, fate shall decide. It's preordained. And this is when I started thinking, doesn't it feel like someone else is controlling him? Doesn't it feel like there's someone else feeding into this idea that he has that whatever will happen and things will fall in place for him in the end? Like, what does he know? Does he have someone also studying psychohistory? Does he have someone helping him, like, from the dark side that also has a radiant or something? Like, he seems so faithful to his destiny. It feels like someone told him what was going to happen, like everything that he was going to conquer, so he has faith in whatever happens. Who is behind him? Because if behind every great man there's a great woman, who is she? Where is she? And how does she have a radiant? And is she Demerzel from the future? I went too far. But this is the thing. In my previous video, I was talking about who is this lady that is taking Harry into the light. Because Harry didn't die. He just went somewhere else. Who is this lady? And I was thinking, definitely someone from the future. Could it be Gaal or someone from a third foundation in the future? And someone in the comments made a very, very good observation. It's probably the goddamn robots, that some of them did survive and they are out there somewhere in the galaxy creating goddamn amazing technology and kind of, you know, helping things go along in the way that because maybe they also have access to a radiant. Maybe they also have the information and the capacity to study psychohistory. And it makes sense to me. I mean, it makes complete sense that technology so advanced can look like magic to the, you know, ignorance of the past. So it feels like there's someone behind the mule. Either with him knowing it or not knowing it, it feels like there's someone behind the mule. And I don't know, like with the time being so malleable and seen from such a wide perspective in this show, it could even be someone from either the foundation, like in the future or in the past or whatever the hell time thing they made happen, or someone from the robots, like a rogue person, a rogue entity that has all of this knowledge about psychohistory and about mental abilities, that has access to really crazy, amazing technology, and that is from the shadows helping the mule the same way that other people from the shadows are helping the quote-unquote good side. Does it not feel like that? Because it wasn't just with this little bit, it was later on as well with something else that the mule said that it made me think how it was when he was at the goddamn base. I think it's the base that he, like the military base that the Cleons were talking about that was very close to Kalgan. That's the base he was invading later on, right? When he was in the call with the Cleon, with Brother Dawn, he was invading someplace. It was the military base, right? Am I not catching on to everything? I hope I am. But when he's there, he also says something to the effect of, I feel this great power coursing through me, telling me that I will achieve great things, or whatever the hell he says. Does it not feel like there's someone else, some third entity in the shadows, either controlling or like guiding the mule, whether or not he knows about it? Does it not feel like that? And then about the brothers. Brother Day, his boo, and the Demerzel business. Because now that I've mentioned this person who commented on my previous video about the possibility that the mathematician that came to get Harry is a robot and is working with the robots from the sidelines to guide this thing into a good direction for humanity, because this is what the robots mission is, for the greater good of humanity. Demerzel didn't know that the religion that worships robots was still alive. She thought they were gone. I mean, surely if there are rogue robots somewhere in the galaxy, which probably, if she survived, wouldn't it be possible that they are the ones feeding into it, that they are the ones keeping it alive? Maybe not just in Trantor. That's another planet, right? I never remember these names. Trantor. Maybe not just there, but in other places, in other influential planets in the galaxy. Isn't it possible that they are the ones keeping it alive, making sure that people know about robots and believe in robots so that one day they can come in and have support from the humans? Very much Bene Gesserit, But yeah, I think the last thing I want to say about the brothers, the Cleons, is that we had a really cute moment. I don't have anything against or in favor of the majority of the characters in this show. I just enjoy their journey for the most part. And I don't like them or hate them. They're just characters. They're incredibly compelling. Their journeys is so cool. I remember one of the highlights for me for the whole show was when one of those brothers, Brother Day back then, did the whole desert thing. And in the end, he was just a fraud. That was so cool. I like the brothers. And we saw a moment of unity, maybe the last moment of unity between the three of them when they did a little ritual with drinking whatever liquor it was, and then they just talked about business, and it was so cute. And they even had that moment of where the three of them show that they were clones, and it was so funny to me because the only two clones that weren't sitting on their thrones were the Cleons that are actually standing up business, that are trying to do something for the Empire, that are trying to save the Empire. The Cleon that has completely lost faith, and it was even thinking about running away with his boo before Demerzel took her memories, he is the only one sitting on a throne, sitting very, in a very joking kind of way. Look at me in my dirty ass robes sitting on my throne that I never had to fight for. And the other two brothers who are trying, to keep the Empire alive are just sitting on the stairs. They have no patience for any of this shit. And then Brother Day joins them on the stairs. They all drink and they are having a cute moment. It's cute. But about their very comfortable lives, we also get a comment when Brother Dawn is in the holograph with the mule, of the mule saying, yeah, you had to learn how to fold your napkin while I was killing people at war. We are not on the same level, boy. That was pretty cool. It's a good observation. It's true. These people that are in power for too long, and it's the same thing with the Foundation, with the little monarchy that they have going on. They don't know how to fight anymore. They just know how to rule. They know how to rule an easy empire, easy. And I mean, that's a pretty good advantage that the mule has on them. The fact that he can play dirty and he knows how to, and he knows that he can. But yeah, that's my review of this episode. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm so, like, Demerzel is such a cool character. I'm so curious to know what's going to happen to her, to her head, to her functioning, to her when the Cleons fall, because we know they're gonna fall. But I'm also curious because I don't know, maybe it's just in me, but there's this expectation forming that Brother Dawn will survive. And what's gonna happen to Demerzel if one of them survives, but the Empire is dead? Like, if a Cleon is still alive and maybe he's able to create descendants. I can't believe I saw vibes between Brother Dawn and Gaal. Stay away from her. But if Brother Dawn manages to leave descendants, then would Demerzel's principles also apply to the descendants even after the Empire is gone? Like, if he's just a random citizen in the galaxy? I'm so curious to see how all of this is going to apply. Ugh. Maybe the robots could come and change her programming. How does that even work? How do they even change her programming? Maybe I should rewatch the past 2 seasons. Anyway, this is my review for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support me, like, comment, subscribe, join the membership, and I will see you here, well, with Foundation next season, but soon with some other interesting videos. I will see you then. Bye.